Welcome to the RunningDrummer.com podcast with your host, the man who puts the rhythm into running, Greg Santini.
Welcome, everybody, to the RunningDrummer.com podcast. I'm joined by my co-host, Mike Santini, older brother Mike Santini, who is...
Hello.
Hello, Michael. How are you?
Good.
Good to have you on. So today we have a really awesome guest. We spoke with Bobby Stephenson. Bobby Stephenson is one of the cast members of P90X. He was in the original P90X. What I call the realest of the real when it comes to working out, because that was literally one of the hardest programs I've ever been through. I know Mike's been through it too.
Absolutely.
It is a tough workout if you are looking to get yourself into maximal shape. I don't even know if maximal is really a word.
We'll make it one.
But it is an amazing program, so I highly recommend. Bobby had some really cool insights about working out. Mike, what else did he talk about? He talked about some really cool shit.
Well, Bobby just happens to be a super nice guy, number one. And number two, he's got a phenomenal insight into a fitness journey. He also told us about his casting studio that he has in Santa Monica, California, where he produces actors for commercials and that sort of thing. We'll be plugging that in a minute. But we had a lot of fun having this chat with Bobby, and just kind of explaining where the P90X journey began, how it began, how we met Tony Horton and the entire cast.
Yeah,
so, and we just talked about fitness in general.
Yeah, I think that was the coolest part, just learning about where P90X started. It basically started in an apartment, Tony Horton's apartment. It was all Tony Horton's idea, and then it just kind of, those Carl Deichler and Congdon curls.
Yep.
That's all I remember.
John Congdon. Yep.
John Congdon, the Congdon curls. If you've done P90X,
Yep.
you know what I'm talking about.
Scotty Pfeiffer,
and
Pfeiffer
Scotty,
Scissors,
yeah,
all that stuff.
All that cool stuff. We really got a really great conversation with him. But first, I just want to bring up our sponsors really quick. Sponsors, of course, as usual, Comlink Total Solutions. Mike, you know them well. Comlink Total Solutions is your one-stop shop for all your telecom needs. If you're looking for new service for your home, for internet, phone, TV, whatever it is, if it's DirecTV, Spectrum, HughesNet, I don't care what it is, Comcast, these guys will hook you up. Check them out at www.comlinkbundle.com, or the number to call is 1-800-668-1963. That's the number to call if you need internet or phone, or if you want to change your service, if you want to save some money and talk to...
Home security, too.
Home security, too. Holy crap, they got home security. ADT Home Security. These guys do it all, man. Just give them a call. They will give you a non-biased outlook on all your telecom and home security needs. Now, also, I want to plug Bobby Stephenson's studios. They're called 5th Street Studios. They're in Santa Monica, California. And let me give you a little synopsis of them. So 5th Street Studios is a boutique casting facility located in beautiful downtown Santa Monica. It caters to the best clientele. They're located near the very popular 3rd Street Promenade, finest dining, and 5-star hotels. They offer 4 studios, 3 of which are callback studios or callback rooms, a production office, and a full kitchen, all totaling 3,600 square feet. Contact my man, Bobby Stephenson, at 310-458-1100, extension 105, and he will answer all your questions. He's also going to answer a bunch of questions for us, which is really cool. And also check them out at 5thstreetstudios.net. That's 5th, the number 5, TH, streetstudios.net. Very cool.
And of course, we'll also we'll link these on our pages as well, so you guys can have the websites handy for both of our sponsors or for both of the plugs we're doing here.
Yep. So if you're looking to break out into Hollywood and you live in California, go to 5th Street Studios. These guys will take care of you.
Now, also, just to say this, if any of you out there listening, and we hope a lot of you will be listening, if you are a fitness enthusiast or a musician of any sort, love to hear from you, maybe have you on the show if you'd be interested in that. Greg will link the details for that on our site and also with this podcast. We do have a bunch of exciting projects coming up, some interviews that we're going to reveal as we get them organized. We got a couple more celebrity types to appear on the show. But I think without further ado, Greg is going to cue up the podcast the interview that we did with Bobby yesterday. And I think you're going to love it. He's a great guy, and we had a lot of fun with this one.
Really cool, guys. All right, guys, so without further ado, let's get to the interview. All right, guys, welcome back to the Running Drummer podcast. Straight from California, I have Bobby Stephenson, the world famous Bobby Stephenson. If you've done P90X, you know who Bobby Stephenson is. He is one of the guys that's actually in the original P90X videos and workout routine. I talked about it a bunch of times. I tell people I preach the P90X. I preach P90X all the time to people. I preach it to customers of mine. I preach it to clients of mine. I preach it to people that I've trained in the fire academy. You name it. I've used and I've done P90X so many times. So thank you, Bobby, for first of all for joining us and on such short notice and agreeing to come on the show. We really, really appreciate it. Mike and I are super stoked to talk to you and ask you some questions about your P90X experience, some questions about Tony Horton, some questions about your current routine, what you're doing. How do you maintain such ripped abs? I think that's one of the questions.
Yeah. We'd like to know that.
We want to know how you're ripped like Jesus. It's insane. So anyway, so without further ado, Bobby, thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thank you, the Santini brothers. This is quite an honor. Really,
it's like a circus.
Yeah, it's like a circus. Thank you for reaching out to me and having me on your show. I really appreciate it. I'm honored. Yeah, so let's fire away. Awesome. I'm ready.
So the first thing I know that a lot of people want to know, and we belong to a lot of P90X groups and fitness groups on Facebook, and there's a lot of chat that goes on and people that are involved in Beachbody and everything. I think what people want to know is how in the hell did you meet Tony Horton, and what's the story there? What happened? How did you become friends? How long ago did you meet him, and where were you a huge influence on him? Were you a huge influence on P90X? And if you could explain some of that to us, that'd be cool.
Sure, I'd be happy to. I was living in New York at the time, and a buddy of mine from college, Ethan, who's a good friend of Tony's, he would fly out to New York and he'd crash at my place. And we were good pals. And I was really sick of the gym at that time. I was going through a really tough time in New York. I'd moved there originally to be with who I thought was the one. It turned out she wasn't. So
I know that story.
Oh man, I love New York. The first 6 months I was there, it was wonderful. I mean, we were just living a life. It was great. And then she met somebody.
Where in New York were you, by the way?
I bounced around because I sublet. So the first apartment that I stayed in was 42nd and 10th Street.
Okay. Wow.
And then we moved up to 107th and Broadway. Nice. And then I bounced around to 93rd and 5th, something like that. I think it was 89th and 5th, something like that.
So did you ever come to Brooklyn, or did you even know that Brooklyn existed?
Brooklyn? I think I've heard of it. No, I never made it over there. I didn't have. You don't need a car, obviously. There's a lot of great transportation, but I never went over to Brooklyn. I just kind of stayed in the city the whole time I was there. I was there for a year and a couple months. So, like I said, the first 6 months were great. The last 8 months were not so great.
Right.
And that last 8 months, the only time I felt good about myself was the hour that I worked out during the day. The other 23 hours were just miserable for that last 8 months. It was just not a good time for me. But my buddy Ethan would come to visit. And at that time, I swore off, I didn't swear off the gym there, but I swore when I moved back to LA, because I had planned to move back to LA, he said to me, look, when you move back, you got to get in touch with my friend Tony. You guys have a lot in common. I know you'd hit it off. You should contact Tony. I said, all right. And apparently he said the same thing to Tony, because I was just, I was working out a lot, running a lot. And I guess the side effect of that, because for me it was just to feel good about myself, was that I was getting in pretty good shape. And so he said, you got to meet Tony. And so when I moved back to LA, I had a piece of paper that Ethan had given me with Tony's number on it. And, it took a couple of months to kind of get settled in LA. And I'm going through my stuff and putting things away, and I see the number. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Call this guy and say, hey, here we have a lot in common. We should get together.
Right.
And apparently he was doing the same thing. So I don't know. One day I just decided, what the hell? I'll give him a call. And so I give him a call, and that's pretty much how the conversation went. I said, hey, it's Bobby. He's like, hey. I said, you want to work out? And he's like, yeah, all right.
And what year was that? When did you meet him there?
That was 1999.
Wow, okay.
And so we set a time to do a workout that I was doing. Since I moved back to LA, I swore off the gym. I just was sick of working out in the gym. And I found this great spot down by the Santa Monica Pier.
Beautiful.
It's the original Muscle Beach, which a lot of guys out there. And I would run 3 miles on San Vicente. We'd park around 4th Street. I'd run down San Vicente and get on the bike path, run down to the pier, do a couple hours of a workout, and then run back. That was kind of my routine. And the workout that I did there was all body fitness. So you do pull-ups and push-ups and climb the rope and sit-ups and dips and so forth. That's all I did. No weight training, just body training. And I invited him to come meet me, and he fell in love with the whole routine. And at that time, he had had some luck being in infomercials for certain fitness equipment. I've
seen it. I've seen his old infomercial.
Yes, he was great. He's great on camera. He had a lot of training as a host. He did commercials. He was doing stand-up. So at this time, when we met, we spent a couple hours down at the beach working out, and so we started kind of getting to know each other. He was developing this new routine, and he said, months. That was the first time we hung out together, and that became like routine. We would always do this workout down at the beach, and he just loved it. And but at that time, he was developing P90.
The Power 90 program, which, by the way, if people don't know, I'm sure they do, but some before P90X, there was a thing called P90. It was an easier version, basically, of P90X. P90X got really, really, really hard. It's still hard to this day, even if I don't care how good a shape you're in. I think P90X is no joke, no matter what you're doing. So yeah, P90 is a great. It honestly was great. Like I think my mother-in-law did it, and she had some really great success with it. So it's definitely more, for people that aren't quite ready to do crazy yoga balances on their head.
That's right.
Right.
He said to me, hey, you want to help me with this thing and be in it with me? And I said, sure. Yeah, why not? So he had an apartment on 15th and Broadway in Santa Monica. It was a 3-bedroom apartment. So he had one of the bedrooms was his bedroom. One of the bedrooms was his office. And the other bedroom served as his gym. and he'd train clients there. And then his big wig clients, he would go to their houses, like Tom Petty or, any of these.
Billy Idol, I believe, as well.
And Billy Idol. But we would work out either at the beach or at his house. And so he said, "You want to help me with this?" And I said, "Sure." So one afternoon, he's like, "Come on by the house. I want you to meet a couple guys." And so it turns out John Condon and Carl Deichler were over at the apartment. They brought a tripod with a little video camera, and it was just the four of us in his bedroom, in his living room. And Tony, they set it up so they could kind of see what the format would be like. Tony on camera as the host and a demo person in the background doing the moves. And they just wanted to kind of get a sense of kind of timing and the approach to putting this together as a fitness package. And so that was the first time I met Carl and John. And from there, the next time I saw them was on set. It took a while, but it became a really popular program, the Power 99.
That routine, Bob, this is Mike, by the way, but that routine you did with Tony initially down at the pier, did that have a major influence on the program that Tony was putting together?
Well, not Power 90 necessarily, because like Greg explained, that is a really a gateway to more difficult moves and more difficult and intense workouts. P90X definitely was influenced a little bit by what we were doing down at the beach.
I figured as much.
Yeah, that was essentially what we were doing. P90 was, oh yeah, this is a fun little program, but it wasn't what we were how we were training. P90X was really how we were training at his place, and then pull-ups and stuff down at the beach was a big part.
I do remember Tony mentioning in the program at one stage, I forgot which video it was, but he goes, "Look, you don't need a gym, you don't even need the equipment."
Somebody messing with this?
So when you guys are putting this together, so you're at the stage now of putting P90X together. You're planning it. You're this pre-production stuff, obviously. Was it something where you got the guys together and you started this program and you did it the actual 5 days a week, or was it you kind of piecemealed it?
No, and I want to be clear too. This is Tony and I are friends, and Tony and I work out buddies. And this was Tony's baby. Tony totally put it together, formatted it, had it set, and structured the weeks. It was all his thinking and his doing. When Beachbody had great success with P90, they thought, well, let's do what you're doing. Let's put this in as a workout program. This could work.
Right.
And so he would invite buddies to do the program with him at his house or his apartment. And we would do the routines with him and think, nobody's going to do this. This is too hard. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
But once they formatted and Beachbody gave the go ahead, like they've done with so many other great programs, Tony. Since then, they do a test group, and they did a test group. I think they did maybe 2 test groups before they actually filmed. Scott Pfeiffer and anybody else that had the time to commit to meeting at 5:00 in the afternoon every day for 3 months was part of that test group. They were very strict. You had to follow the meal plan. You had to show up every day to work out as a group at 5:00. And yeah, they went through the paces before they ever set foot on a set. Those who started the program that maybe weren't in great shape could actually kind of start to grease the wheel and get in better shape and not burn out. They're a very smart company. And so that was Tony's doing. Unfortunately, where I was in my life, I wasn't able to commit every day at 5:00.
Right.
So I try to get my workouts in early in the morning. But I was very lucky and thankful that he said, "Hey, when they finally decided, okay, let's start to shoot this thing," and then they were in heavy pre-production to shoot. Tony made a stand and said, "Look, I don't want just people in the background, fitness models that I don't know. I want my buddies that I work out. I want
right."
This.
Right, and just so you know, Bobby, that out of all of the P90X cast members and the original cast member, I believe it looks like there was 23 of them. You rank number 9 out of 23. Just so you know. And guess who number 1 is, everybody? You really want to know? Pam the Blam, of course.
Pam the Blam.
Pam the Blam gets number 1. And I honestly, after a little, I thought, what's her name? Well, she became my favorite, Marin, the German potato, because I found out she was a hardcore porn star. So I immediately I was like, oh man, this is my favorite.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, Pam is awesome. I never knew about the porn star. No one ever knew about her, but
Till later, yeah.
Till later. But I thought it was a really smart move looking back on it because, up until this point, fitness programs, when you watch them, everybody was perfect in the background. They were ripped. They were doing the moves exactly the way they should do the moves, and no one sweat.
Yes.
So for Tony to really have the vision to say, look, and the fortitude to stand up to the company and say, look, this is the way I want it. I want my buddies in the background. I want this to feel like you're a part of our group. And so
I think that added a level of authenticity to that program that other programs in the past did not have.
I would agree.
And
100%.
The fact of the matter is that, any other program I ever followed before, you had situations where, the instructor wasn't actually working out, was just instructing. And the guys in the background, like you said, were perfect and they wouldn't sweat and all that kind of thing. You watch P90X, and for those of you that haven't seen this will ring very true. These guys are sweating. I mean, you guys were working your asses off, and people were having to take breaks and that sort of thing, and that was like, wow, this is real. This isn't Hollywood.
Well, I got to tell you that the first routine I think was chest and back. That was the.
Oh yeah.
We did two workouts in the one day. So in the morning we did chest and back, and in the afternoon after lunch we took a break, and then we did, I think it was legs and back. I'm not sure. Anyway,
and for those of you out there, don't do that at first.
Don't do that. No, that's not recommended. Yeah. But the way they set it up is, okay, everybody knows the moves. We know what we're doing. They had 3 or 4 cameras, guys with cameras that they're following you on the set, watching everything you're doing. But as soon as they started taping, we went right through. I mean, there's no stopping and starting. So, yeah, we're really working out. We're really struggling. And,
absolutely. It's totally, you can tell.
And the lights are pretty hot. And
right.
It was, it was a cool experience.
Now, I asked before, how you would have had any input into the program, because obviously Tony in the program mentioned certain moves that are named after cast members. You've got Pfeiffer Scissors, you've got the Condon curls. Was that something that kind of came up organically through the filming, or was that something that was pre-planned?
Oh, no, that happened. That's like in the test groups. Those, I think that those names kind of developed. And Tony's so giving, and he likes to make fitness fun. So I think that was a really cool way to engage everybody, is to kind of make name moves after certain people, just to kind of keep them more involved and inspire them. Yeah, if you hang around with Tony long enough, you'll get a move, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure of that.
I have one, but I don't know. It never made it, so maybe it'll make it sometime.
You'll have to let us know what that one is, because we'd like to incorporate it into our workout routine.
Okay, cool.
Now, let me ask you this real quick too, before we run out of time here. Currently, what are you up to? What are you doing? What is your are you acting or what's going on with you?
Yeah, so I'm an actor. I also own a commercial casting studio.
Awesome.
So we cast commercials here in Santa Monica, and so we audition actors all day long for pretty big commercials, and so that's my day job. I love working out. I work out religiously. In fact, the beginning
You could never tell, by the way. I mean, I don't know. No way you can tell.
The beginning of this year, Scott Pfeiffer, as you've mentioned, decided he wanted to do a round of P90X. He was trying to get in shape for his trek, which he left for the other day. Anyway, so he said, let's commit to doing a 90 days P90X, the original P90X.
Right.
So he created that. He created a Facebook challenge group, and it was real popular. And so I came off of that. I guess that was April. Finished that off, which was a lot of fun. Ewan McGregor joined the group and trained. He's a buddy of Scott, so the two of them would consistently get together and work out.
I literally cannot tell I have to cut this whole part out because if my wife finds out that Ewan McGregor is friends with somebody from Beachbody, she's going to lose her mind because she's like the biggest Ewan McGregor fan in the world.
Really?
In the world. Like it's she would leave me immediately. Like she would take my two kids and just leave. They'd be gone. They'd be out.
Oh my God. Well, then don't tell her this because at the end of the routine, Ewan said to Scott, he's like, hey, to finish off the 90 days, let's all get together and do like a group workout.
Right. Oh, geez.
And so it turns out that he wanted to work out with Drea and myself, Tony, and Scott. And so they planned to do this workout at Beachbody. They filmed it and posted it, a live workout with Ewan and the rest of us at Beachbody. And it's on that challenge group.
Oh, we'll have to check that out. That's great. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He's an awesome guy.
Yeah. No, he seems like a really nice guy.
Really nice. So since then, I've kind of been nursing a bit of a shoulder injury, and so I've been changing up the routine just a bit, and but I'm hitting it hard every day, and I really enjoy it, and it's a big mental thing for me as opposed to just an aesthetic and physical thing. It just really helps kind of even me out and keep me sane.
Yeah. Now,
Right.
I want to ask a question about. I know you're a big calisthenics guy, and you do plenty of weights and stuff like that. But are you running? What's your cardio program? What have you done? Like what I know you mentioned earlier you did a couple. You used to run 3 miles here and there and do that kind of stuff. What kind of cardio program are you on now?
Okay, well, so I've cut it back quite a bit, but I used to run cross country and track in high school, and I've run most of my life, long distance. I love kind of just getting out there and getting in the zone and running, long distances. I still do that once a week for sure. I'll hit a 7 or an 8 mile run. For me, that's a nice. That feels like a good distance. But sometimes I'll incorporate those long runs with some push-ups. So
I like
I'll end up doing like 10 stations of 30 along the run, which I don't know if you've ever tried that. If you have some time, try it. It's a good workout. You've got a great pump.
It's funny. It's funny you mentioned that. I the other day I bring my daughter to a dance class, and I had this lake that we would run around, and I would run a mile and I would do 100 push-ups. Run a mile, do 100 push-ups. Run around, I did 400 push-ups, and by the time I was done, the next day, I felt like someone hit me in the chest with a baseball bat. It was like not the smartest thing, but I was determined. I'm training for a bunch of really crazy races, and I'm going to do a 100-mile race probably next year. We're doing a lot. I'm really getting in the zone right now. So,
That's great.
Yeah, I'm when I like 8-mile runs are great though. Those are like my bread and butter. I'll go out every day, and not quite every day, but almost every day, and I'll run that sort of distance. And then I run one long run every 2 weeks. That's long run to me is like 20 miles,
20 miles. Wow, that's great.
Good
for you, man.
Now, Bobby, when you talking about that kind of routine, I know you're involved in the Murph Challenge. Can you tell us, our listeners, about what that's all about?
Oh, I love the Murph. I think that's a wonderful way to spend part of your Memorial Day. It's a grueling workout. I don't know if you've ever tried it, but once you put
are you vest or no vest, Bobby?
Oh, vest for sure.
Nice.
That changes everything.
Yes, absolutely, It does.
I mean, it's without the vest, it's just doing chest and back, essentially.
Right. Exactly.
Pretty much.
Or the challenge. Sorry.
It's good that you do it on Memorial Day, and obviously it's a great cause. Both Greg and I are Army veterans, and so we have particular interest in those kinds of causes and movements. So that's we love to hear about that.
Well, thank you for your service, guys. It's quite an honor then to talk to you and know that. I've been doing it, the Murph Challenge on Memorial Day for, I guess is it 4 years now? I didn't know really how to approach it the first time, and I never worked out with a vest. I mean, I like working out, but I'm not a trainer. You know, I'm not a fitness fanatic, and necessarily. It's part of my life, but it's not my whole life. You know,
right?
And so when I heard about this, I thought, oh, I got to do it. This sounds like a fun way, a challenge for sure.
Yeah.
And putting that vest on, man, that is interesting.
It's killer.
It's a game changer.
Yeah, it's game changer.
So yes, I've done it with a group of guys. This past Memorial Day, I just did it on my own down at the beach, but there were a few guys doing it as well. So we definitely had some camaraderie there and kind of rooted each other on. And yeah, I think it's.
Can you tell our listeners, because we know, but tell our listeners what the challenge is, exactly what it incorporates.
Oh, right. Okay. So, I mean, if you want to do it officially, you would go to themurphchallenge.com. I think that's what it is. And you would sign up maybe a month or so before. That money, I think, goes towards helping vets. Just wonderful.
Sure does.
And you get a great T-shirt. And then the workout, which you would do on Memorial Day or that weekend, close to Memorial Day. I like to do it on Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Is you put on a 20-pound vest. You run a mile. You do 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, and 300 squats, air squats, and then run your last mile. And I say last mile because you feel like you want to die.
That's sick, yeah.
And the first time I did it, I didn't know strategy really about it. I just thought, okay, you just do it in sequence. So I ran the mile, which my legs felt a little weird that first mile. And then I did all 100 pull-ups before I moved on to push-ups.
Yeah, mistake, Bobby, mistake.
Oh, man, it was brutal. It was brutal. I mean, I banged out 17 pull-ups the first time I jumped up on the bar, and then I crashed and burned.
Yeah.
It was hard to get through those 100 pull-ups.
So now, are you breaking it up, like doing the 5, 10, 15? I think they call it the Sally or something like that. And that you do 5 push-ups, 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 squats, and then you just repeat that 20 times, I believe.
Yes, I did that strategy one year. Last year, or this year, I did 10, 20, 30.
Wow.
And I did 10 rounds of that, which was, I thought, a really nice way to handle it. Felt good. The 5, 10, 15, for me, it was a little monotonous. There's so many rounds of that, 20 rounds.
Yeah.
But I liked the 10, 20, 30. If you've never tried that, give it a shot.
Okay.
Well, that's something to do. Now, also, Bobby, give us an idea of the type of diet you're on. I know that evolves, as we get older. I know even Tony has gone from several different types of diets, and he's mentioned that on his YouTube videos and that sort of thing. What kind of regime of diet would you say you put yourself into?
For the most part, I pretty much follow Tony Horton's advice that he gave me years and years ago, which is when you sit down to have lunch or dinner or breakfast, whatever it is, try to make your plate colorful. Have one plate of food and make it colorful. Don't have a plate of beige food,
Right.
So lots of fruits and vegetables, a little protein, and stick with the one plate. Don't go back for seconds.
Right.
I kind of stick with that. I've never been a guy that measures calories, how much I'm eating, and is real particular about that. I commend people who can prep their meals for the week, and I've certainly tried that, but I get a little lazy with that. It's hard for me to be consistent with that.
No, life gets in the way with that kind of thing sometimes.
Yeah, it can, and I really admire somebody that has that routine and can really stick to it. That is inspiring, but it just doesn't work for me. It doesn't work well for me.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why I asked that question is because when I first committed to P90X, and it was after I saw Greg's before and after video and all the other ones that are out there, I decided to just cut. It really is. Yeah, I mean, what he did was fantastic.
Oh my God.
And what I saw with everybody else doing it as well, I thought was fantastic. And I bought the system. I decided to cut sugar out of my diet as much as possible. And anything that wasn't, nothing processed, that sort of thing. I got a huge, I was at the time I was about 200 pounds. I'm only about 5'9", and I was 200 pounds, which is quite large for me. My good weight would probably be anywhere between 165, 170. And when I cut that out and I did some running and I did the P90X program, I got myself down to about 160, and I was in sick shape. But I really thought that cutting the sugar out was a big deal. Is that something you stay conscious of yourself, or is that something you don't really worry about?
No, I do. I try to make every day you're making choices, right? Every meal you're making choices, and so there are times where it's like, oh yeah, that slice of pie looks appealing. That really looks good, and I'll inevitably go for the apple.
Right?
That looks great, but I really don't. I try to steer towards something healthy, and that's every meal.
Right.
I'm tempted. Every meal I'm tempted, but inevitably I'm pushing myself towards healthy.
I mean, one of the things I also did, and you can attest to it or not, is I gave myself a treat once a week. Now, I didn't go crazy and eat like 3 pizzas, that kind of thing, but I knew, okay, I'll have that one slice of cake because the rest of the week, the other 6 days, I'm not eating like that. Because for me, dieting and exercise, when you're getting into these routines, a lot of reasons why I would quit in the past was because it was just so much of a commitment. And there was no treat involved that I didn't have like a motivation. It just got old. And so when I say, hey, look, I know I'm going to be able to have that slice of chocolate cake on Friday night. And that gave me, okay, did that, been there, done that. Those calories are burned before I finished eating it because I've been working out so hard. So, is that something something you would recommend, or is that something you think would be more of a temptation for you, or, something like that?
It all depends on like where you're at. I mean, if you're at a really unhealthy weight and you want to lose 40 pounds, 30 pounds, 40 pounds, whatever it is, I would probably say go as strict as you can and don't give yourself those treats until you get to a place where, okay, now I'm at the weight I want. You're at your goal weight.
Right.
Goal weight, and you've maintained that for a while, and every now and then, I think that's a smart way to handle it, because then you're not just, your mind isn't playing tricks with you and just fantasizing about eating unhealthy.
You could always go with my grandmother, who's my grandma Santini, who's my old Italian grandmother, God rest her soul. She would just basically say, stop fucking eating. That's basically what she would tell you. And and that's really...
Which is ironic because every Sunday she was making a 6,000 calorie pasta.
Right, exactly. But that's the truth.
Have another plate, Michael. Come on, Greg.
Exactly.
Well, what's wrong with you? What do you want?
You don't like my cooking?
Exactly.
Anytime you call my grandmother, the first thing she would say is, "What do you want?" That's the first thing. What do you want? Like it was like it was a problem.
She was very no frills.
Yeah, she's no frills. But I agree with everything you're saying, Bobby. About it's all subjective, right? So like if you're somebody that's way overweight, you're going to have to obviously be very strict about what you do. And if you're somebody that works out a lot, you have a lot more leeway on what you can eat and get away with without really affecting yourself so much. But I've been getting into this intermittent fasting thing that's been going on, and I've noticed this just throughout just talking to people and just being in the fire department for 15 years. I've seen so many people come and go, and guys that have retired, and the guys that retire skinny, right? Guys that they're naturally just skinny, and I'm always breakfast is a big thing in the fire department. Every morning you come into the fire department, into the firehouse, you're supposed to bring like a buttload of bagels. The probies are cooking eggs. There's bacon. I mean, there's cookies and donuts. There's everything you can think of is there. It's dangerous, right? It's really dangerous because you just get sucked into that really quickly. But I've noticed that the guys that stayed skinny was the guys that just didn't eat breakfast. So they would come in the morning, they'd nibble on something, and then they would go pretty much for like, I don't know, probably 10 hours, 12 hours before they ate anything of any significance. And then they would start, they would have lunch and, of course, dinner. But those guys tend to be skinny, just guys that don't eat in the morning. It just seems to kind of, and that's what I do. I just kind of don't eat in the morning.
Yeah, that's I'm falling into that routine as well, and have for many years. Where I get up, my routine is I try to get my workout in the morning before I get to the office, because the work that I do is very inconsistent schedule wise. We could start our day at 9 o'clock, and if we have clients that day, they may not leave here until 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
So leaving here at 11 o'clock at night, I am not inspired to go to the gym. I'm wasted. I'm done.
Yep.
So I have to get my workout in the morning. So what I do is I get up in the morning, I have a cup of coffee, maybe two, and then I head to the gym, and I'll work out, get my workout in, and head to the office right after, shower and change at the gym, and I'm here. So I have a blender here. Now, I guess my breakfast is, and it has consistently been this for quite some time, is I have Shakeology.
I was just going to ask you if you did that.
Oh, yeah. I do it religiously. So I'll have Shakeology in the days that I lift, if I'm lifting and have a resistance workout, as opposed to just cardio. I'll add an extra scoop of protein powder, like a whey protein powder to it. And that's my breakfast, essentially. And then I don't eat until like 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, typically. Right. Earlier today, since we were having our meeting. But yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if that still falls into the intermittent fasting, because I do have a shake in the morning,
right.
But I'm not sitting down to a meal like a.
Right. I think. I mean, it's not technically fasting, but like it's similar. It's really close to that, and I think that's it's calories in, calories out. I mean, essentially, that's it's not rocket science. And I love Shakeology, by the way, fantastic product. I haven't used it in a while. I used to sell it, so I used to get it all the time, and I loved it. I just stopped selling the stuff, but I'd love to bring it back and start drinking it again, because I think you really, like, for people that can't cook and can't eat really, and they just want to get something in quick, they just an after workout shake thing. It's just one of the best things I've ever had.
Yeah. Now, Bobby, just so you know, I live in New Zealand, and where the typical breakfast for a Kiwi is going to be 2 or 3 eggs over easy, 3 or 4 sausage links, hash browns, fried tomatoes, the whole thing.
And by the way, Bobby, don't ever say eat a Kiwi, because that literally means eat a New Zealand person. So
yeah, that's right. But so the point of that is that so when we're talking about intermittent fasting and Shakeology, and making wise meal choices, what we're trying to say is, look, this typical breakfast style of from England and from even the United States and New Zealand and Australia, where I've lived, having a 4,000 calorie breakfast that's fried in oil is probably not a good choice.
Well, yeah, probably not something I would do consistently. Every now and then, wow, that sounds like it would be delicious, but
it is.
Minus the sausage. I'm not a big sausage guy. In fact, I'm not a big meat eater. I'll have fish and I have chicken, here and there, but I try to steer away from red meat. I don't have red meat. That's so New Zealand is a beautiful country.
Absolutely.
How long have you been there?
Well, actually, I moved to Australia in 2007, and then my wife and I, my ex-wife now, had two small kids, and we moved over to New Zealand, where she's from, in 2014. So I've been here since 2014.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry.
It is a beautiful country. It's a beautiful country, and I know Tony's a skier. I'm not sure if you jump on the trails with him or not, but if you want to do some good skiing, I highly recommend, and I'd be happy to host you down here in New Zealand, where they have some very, very awesome places to do that.
Wow, that is very kind of you. You got to hook up with Tony. Tony loves skiing, as you know.
Yes, absolutely.
Tony, to plug what he's doing, and it's an incredible event that I don't know if you're going to be in California anytime in September, but he's having an event down in San Diego, the 28th to the 30th, called the Paragon Experience.
I've seen that. I've seen some advertisement for that, one way or the other.
Yes, and I highly recommend that to your viewers and to you guys if you're going to be in town. It should be a really cool thing to be a part of.
Are you going to be part of that as well?
I don't know at this point. We'll have to see. I'm not on the roster as far as somebody that's going to be speaking. But he's got I think there's a few pretty cool people that'll be attending it and giving presentations.
That sounds great.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And Bobby, New Zealand is beautiful. It's amazing, but it's the equivalent. I say this on my last podcast, actually. It'd be like the equivalent of going to the moon, which would be beautiful in itself. But then once you're on the moon and you realize I'm that far away from Earth, it starts to get old.
Yeah, where I live in New Zealand, literally, well, anywhere in New Zealand, we're so far away from the States that any further away, we're actually getting closer to the United States. So it's quite a jump, but it's a beautiful country. But going back to talking about skiing, and now what sort of, outside of working out, do you have any hobbies like skiing, like Tony, that sort of thing that you get yourself involved in?
No. Okay. I'm pretty, I'm not that
adventurous.
Well, yeah, no, I love to run, and that's probably about the extent of it. I did try skiing a long time ago when we first moved to California, but we were never wealthy. Middle
it's not
class,
a cheap sport,
and it was kind of we just didn't have the bucks to travel and buy all the ski gear, and
sure,
it was just something that was kind of not in my world.
Were you a sports guy in high school? Did you play on the teams, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I played football. I ran track and cross country. I played basketball. So I love sports, and I love team sports.
You've always been athletic, in other words.
I've always been athletic, yeah. It's always been kind of part of my life, but it hasn't been my entire life.
Sure.
And I like where I'm at right now, that I do my workouts in the morning, and then I try to just do my business and live my life. It doesn't consume me,
Right.
I love hanging out with my buddies. Like on Sunday, we still do that workout, but now we do it over at Tony's house as opposed to down at the beach. And he's got this great setup at his place with the pegboard and the ropes that we can climb. And
it's funny you mentioned that. I saw there was a gentleman that he basically went to Tony's house, and Tony gave him a tour. It's on a YouTube video. It's kind of like an MTV Cribs style thing, and he showed the layout of his house. And I'm a big fan of Tony, and I watch all of his Tony Horton fitness videos and that sort of thing. So I kind of feel like I know that house.
Yeah.
But I'm amazed at what he's got set up there. He's got the parallel bars. He's got the, you mentioned the pegboard. He's got, his gym in there, and it was all customized apparently to do what he does. How often do you how often are you over at Tony's house doing your workouts?
Well, it all varies. Like, it's been a stretch now where I just haven't had the time to go during the week because I work out 6 days a week. And he'll send out emails to work out Tuesday and Thursday mornings at 7 or 7:30 at his place.
Yeah.
And I need to be here a little earlier, like 8:30 or 9. So it's hard for me to meet up with them consistently. So, but if I have the time, Tuesdays and Thursdays at his place, and also Sunday for the kind of big outdoor workout that we do.
Right.
Take some time.
There's definitely some video of that out there for viewers to see, I'm sure.
Yeah, and he's got this new rig now, this Ninja Warrior rig that is crazy.
Boy, oh boy.
I know. It's got the salmon ladder. It's got all kinds of pegs and things that you can climb. And
we have a gym. We have a gym here, right on. I live on the border of New York and New Jersey, and we actually have a Ninja Warrior gym here. And I forget his name, but they call him the Weatherman. He's like the one of the main guys, one of the the top guys in Ninja Warrior. I forget his actual first name, but anyway, I've done it. I went there and actually did some of the events, and man, if you're a pretty fit guy, you think, oh, I can do that, no problem. But it is no joke. That is no joke. Really, really hard to do.
It really is. Oh my God, it's such an upper body burn, and you go through one of those routines and you're toast, and then they're doing like 3 or 4 or more of these, obstacles, all upper body. It's just, man, it's a crusher.
It's a crazy workout. And one of the things I mentioned on our last podcast, I'm a huge fan of the obstacle course racing circuit. And I've done a few Spartans and that sort of thing. Have you guys, you or Tony, have you ever done anything like a Spartan or an obstacle course race?
Oh, yeah. I did Tough Mudder years ago, a Tough Mudder routine or race. And that was a lot of fun. I had a blast until we got electric shock.
Yeah.
Challenge.
They torture you. Yeah, they torture you.
I don't know about you. If anybody if anybody snaps me with a towel, that feeling where it just that pissed me off.
Especially after you're doing like 12 kilometers.
The one I did, they actually had a guy dressed up as Dick Cheney, and he was water torturing people. It was insane.
No, seriously though, the Spartan though, when I did the Spartans, you mentioned that at the end of the Mudder, and I know they have the electric shock thing. The end of the Spartan, they'll actually have basically offensive linemen at the very end where the finish line is with spears and with shields, and they'll literally try to tackle you before you get to. So they try to prevent you from getting over the finish line. So it's they try to stay true to the Spartan motif, I would assume.
That's insane.
Yeah.
When I first got to that, the obstacle, it was kind of in the middle of the run. It's like a 12 or 13 mile run, and you run along, and then you do a little obstacle, whatever it was, and I was having a blast. I went with a couple of buddies. We just had a great time. And then the first electric shock routine or challenge was you get on your stomach and you crawl under barbed wire, and there were little strings like hanging down, and they'd light you up.
Yeah.
What the?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like here in New Zealand we have a lot of sheep, so they have to set these fences up with electric, current in them, and it's basically the same kind of thing. If you touch one of those things, that'll jack you up for the day. It's a fun experience.
I did not like that at all. So I did a couple of those, and then I kind of retired. I'm like, I'm done getting shocked.
Yeah.
I do love how the Spartan races, though. What's smart about them and what they've done, which is really brilliant, is that they really, from a marketing standpoint, they have really, they go after everybody, and everybody wants, like, you don't have to be a runner. You can be anybody. And that's really smart to appeal to all people and just say, hey, I could run up a hill, and they go and they try it. They may never do it again, but at least they try it. And of course, the Spartan people and the Reebok people make their money, which is pretty good.
I have a buddy, Regan Burns, who's a wonderful actor and a great comedian. You'd recognize him. He does a ton of work, but he's a huge Spartan runner, and he's done countless events and challenges, and he does so well, and he's gotten in such great shape. Yeah, I'll see him post. It feels like every weekend he's doing a different race. But yeah, the Spartan, I think, as opposed to Tough Mudder, I think they kind of separated themselves. One, the Tough Mudder, it forces you to kind of face some fears that you might have, jumping off a high,
Yes.
water plank, or the shock therapy, electric shock therapy thing is
Right.
a fear of mine.
There's definitely some separation, right? I think the basic premise for both of those things, and it also falls into play with Tony's whole philosophy of functional fitness, which is you can be a weightlifter, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be able to, put boxes on a shelf without taking your back out.
Exactly.
And so these philosophies force your entire body work out, get your core straight, and be able to do things that are going to help you in life. And that's what I admired about Tony's philosophy.
I do too.
And Bobby, that's what we preached at the Fire Academy. All the trainers there, that's what they were about. They were about functional training. If you came to the Fire Academy as a probie and you came as a big beach muscle guy, all you were was a target, and you are a target because we'd see you and we'd immediately hone in on you, and there'd be a girl standing next to a big, huge muscle-bound guy, and we would give them a piece of hose, an 1 3/4 hose that's filled up with sand. It weighs about 15 pounds, and we make them hold it out in front of them. And literally within a minute or two, the big beach muscle guy couldn't hold it, and the girl who weighed about 130 pounds soaking wet could hold it for an hour. So and it's a mind game with these with a lot of these workouts. But these big guys, they come in with these big muscles, and it's just not functional, and they get injured, and they ended up a lot of those guys end up leaving the job because they can't sustain the functional aspect of the job.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I'm a huge fan of Tony's. I love the guy dearly, and I'm honored to call him my friend and have been for going on 18, 19 years now. So
absolutely,
I'm one of the lucky ones. I get to hang out with the guy whenever he's in town. So
that's really great. That's really great. Now I know you mentioned you were nursing a shoulder injury, and for anyone that follows Tony Horton, he's definitely had some physical challenges recently in his life.
Yes.
How do you guys cope with that? I mean, do you find as you get older that it's harder to deal with? Because it seems to me that Tony bounced back from a pretty, hard. I also know you hurt himself when he was skiing. How do you bouncing? Because he's pushing, 60 at this stage, and I'm 47, so I'm not a young guy either. But do you guys bounce back faster? What's your philosophy on that?
Yeah, I mean, it comes with the territory. You're going to push yourself and challenge yourself physically. You're going to get injured here and there, but you just got to be smart. I mean, you gotta at least listen to your body and be smart about what you do physically, and try to minimize those injuries. What he experienced that kind of pulled him down for 4 months was shingles. He developed a severe case of shingles, which then turned into Ramsay Hunt. And that was really scary and something that just who knew that was going to come along in his life? I mean, here's a guy who is a fitness guru.
Ostensibly the healthiest man on the planet, and all of a sudden he's coming wow. So everyone is not, no one's impervious.
No, and so it was a tough time for him and all of us. We were just nervous about it for him, but he got through that. And what was exciting is once he kind of started to feel a little better, it was a challenge to kind of get back to his old self, which he is now. He's working 6 days a week and put all his weight back on, and is really just killing it. But yeah, that's that. The older we get, little things here and there kind of creep up, and you just have to listen to your body and rest as much as you can and take care of it, whatever it is. If it's an upper body injury that you're suffering from, then you end up doing more lower body stuff, or you do a little more cardio. Doesn't mean you're out of the game. It's just you kind of
I think
you alter your game.
That's a great point, Bobby. I think that's an awesome point. Actually, there's so many times where people get injured and and I've done it myself, where I've torn a chest muscle or I've done something to my leg or whatever, and then I just give up. I'm just like, I'm done, and I don't want to do anything, and then I'll go 2 months without doing anything, and then it's just it's just horrible getting back into it, and it just takes that much longer. But I think you're 100% right. Like if you hurt your leg, then work out your arms. If you hurt if you hurt your head, then work out your legs. Like get your mind right, and if anything, do yoga or do something that's you're getting up in the morning and you're being active and you're being physical. To sit down and do nothing is just it's just never an answer. It's never the answer.
It's not. You're not out of the game. You're just changing the game a little bit. That's all.
Right. And I think for me, and I'm younger than that, obviously everyone here, but for me, when I get very upset when I can't meet certain goals, like I can't run, a 5.5 minute mile. I get pissed. I get mad at myself if I can't do that. So I'm always trying to one up myself, and sometimes that's good, but then sometimes it's in detriment because if I can't achieve the ultimate goal of a 5.5 minute mile, then I feel like screw it, I give up. Which I really don't want to think that way, but I hope listeners out there don't think like that. They think in the aspect of let's just get it done. Let's get something done. Anything is better than nothing.
Yeah, I can relate to what you're saying as far as really trying to hit your goals and being hard on yourself. But I hope in the future you kind of take a step back and don't beat yourself up too much and forgive yourself, because maybe you'll end up at a place where I'm at, which is I'm really happy with, if I don't hit the 20 pull-ups in a workout, so what? It's all good. The 10 that I did felt great. Who cares?
Right.
If I don't hit 20, or if I don't run a 5.5 minute mile. If I ran a 7.5 minute mile, it was such a sunny day and it felt good to be outside and kind of get my workout in. And no matter, so what if I didn't break a record that day? It's okay.
Right. Yeah, no,
and that's another aspect of P90X that I really admired as well. That is something I never saw in a program before from any instructor, was the phrase, "Hey, if you got to take a break, take
a break."
Yeah. And some days you're not going to do, break the records. You just do your best that day and forget the rest, like you said.
Do your best and forget the rest, as he says. And I also really admired the modifications in the programs that he puts out. So that, somebody, if you got to get on your knees to do the push-ups, do it. It's better than not doing any.
That's right. And when you have those injuries, do that modified move. It'll take pressure off of whatever that joint injury you're feeling, or don't even do that move at all. Just skip that one and do something else.
Right.
It doesn't mean you don't do the workout at all. You don't, sit out and redshirt it. You just
right.
Anyway,
great advice. I gotta say, and I don't want to keep you on too long, because we really appreciate you coming out and talking to us. It's an honor to talk to you and to give you advice and to hear everything they had to say and tell us these great, amazing stories. We'd love to reach out to more Beachbody people. Hell, if we could get Pam the Blam on, that'd be amazing. If you know her, that'd be awesome.
That would be amazing. I'd love to talk to Pam too.
I'll tell you what, Bobby. I'm making a request now. You let Tony let him know we're coming for him. We are coming for him. We're going to get him on the show, because I think he's got a great message, and I think we could jive quite well with him. But it's absolutely an honor to speak with you. Bobby, you say the name Bobby Stephenson. Anybody who's into P90X knows exactly who we're talking about, and we hope to see a lot more.
Yeah, I don't think Bobby knows how famous he really is.
No, I don't think he does.
I don't think you understand. Like, there's a huge following of P90X people, and they all know who Bobby is. Like, it's just everybody knows. It's so funny.
Well, that's very kind of you. I'm happy to be in the shadows.
Yeah, that's all. No, that's good. That's good. I agree with that. You're like my favorite drummer in the whole world is Neil Peart from Rush, and he's very quiet. He doesn't like to be out in the forefront. He's like, hey, how you doing? Like, I'm Neil, thanks. He doesn't want a million people knocking on his doors and stuff. So very similar.
It's good to be humble.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you guys. This has been a lot of fun. I didn't think I had this much to say. But yeah. Tony, like I said, if you're in San Diego, the 28th to the 30th, come check him out at the Paragon Experience. It's definitely going to be a cool thing.
We will definitely check that out. Yeah, we will.
And I'll tell him when I see him. I'll tell him all about this, and maybe you guys will get him on your show.
Well, that'd be great. And tell him, look, I'm inviting him down to ski in New Zealand. So here we go.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And Bobby, and both you and anyone from Beachbody or from whatever, anytime you're in New York City, look me up, let me know. We'll give you a full tour of the Fire Academy and any firehouse that we come across, my firehouse obviously, and you guys are more than welcome to come hang out and get t-shirts and pictures and all that good stuff, because it's a lot of fun.
You can actually get a ride on one of the fire trucks. I've done that. Great. Yeah.
Dude, that is awesome. I would love that.
Yeah, and we're pretty busy. I'm in downtown Brooklyn, so we do a lot of running around. We'd love to. We make a lot of great dinners. So if Tony's ever in New York, please come down. We will make and to be quite honest, there's a lot of young blood in the fire department, and the young blood they're really healthy. I can't say enough about these guys. They're super into fitness. These guys are working out all the time. That's why I have to outdo them every single minute I see them. But that's my job. I was part of the fitness unit, so it's literally like I'm competing with everybody all the time. But they're all great into fitness, and they would love to see guys like that. If you guys ever in the city, you're welcome to come by and eat with us and have fun and make jokes and make fun of the Pro Bs. You're very welcome.
That's awesome. I would take you up on that in a heartbeat.
Cool, man.
Awesome.
Cool.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you so much. It's been an honor.
Cool. Thanks, Bobby. We really appreciate it. Everyone, Bobby Stephenson from the famous P90X. Thank you, Bobby.
Thanks a lot, Bobby. Really appreciate it.
All right, buddy.
We'll
Thank you, guys. Man. Thank you, Greg.
Thanks.
Thank you, Michael.
You got it, buddy.
All right, great. We'll talk again. Thank you again.
See you.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. Again, check us out at www.runningdrummer.com. My co-host, older brother Mike Santini in New Zealand. Once again, thanks for joining us on the other side of planet Earth.
Absolutely, and what a fantastic time we had with Bobby. We really want to thank him for coming on the show and spending time with us and having a little bit of fun, which is really what it's all about, guys. And stay tuned. We will have, as I said earlier, some other special celebrity type guests coming on the show. We're working on some great things to happen, and but we really enjoyed to have Bobby on the show with us today.
Cool, guys. Thanks so much. And always remember, everybody, someone who is busier than you is running. Get up and go, you little babies.
Get off your ass.
Get off your asses already. Jeez.
All right.
All right. Later, guys.
Awesome.